What is up everyone, and welcome to a video that all you sound guys are going to hopefully really enjoy. It's been quite a few months since I did the PA series of videos, and I've regained a little bit of my interest in filming the videos again. As you guys know, they kind of really weren't that popular, and I'm a bit gutted because I was so excited to put together my new PA system. But I have since spoken to a couple of people about those videos, and the people that are interested in the PA stuff and the sound stuff really enjoyed them. So to you guys, I do thoroughly appreciate your views and comments. So I thought the least I could do in return is make a little update to my PA system, or an update video. There'll be no updating or anything to the actual system in this video, and as you guys can see, slightly differently to my last video, I'm in a different location. I'm in my studio, and as you guys know, I'm using this for a little bit of storage at the back here. But this section is tidy. This isn't mess, you know, this is me working on various things this end. So this is going to be a really quick sort of roughly filmed video chatting about my PA system, but I'm just going to talk about a few things. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is the desk. Now, I will move on to the amp rack, because as you guys know, the amp rack was pretty much the primary main focus of the new PA system build, and you may in fact notice an instant difference already about the amp rack, and I'll talk about that later on. But something that I never really focused on is the desk that I'm using at the moment. This is the main live desk that I have at my disposal, that I pretty much own at this point. Now, I kind of don't own this desk. It actually belongs to my buddy Jack, but my buddy Jack bought a Allen & Heath QU24, and because of that, he doesn't need this anymore, of course, because that is a far better desk than this. So I'm kind of long-term borrowing it off him, and I am happy to give him some cash for it, but I'm not sure on my own mixer scenario yet. But this is, for what it is, a really nice desk, and I will take this opportunity to say a massive thank you to Jack. Cheers, buddy, because this has really got me out of some sticky situations, and it saves me borrowing gear from other people. Now, for the majority of my... Sorry about that creaking you may be able to hear, guys. It's actually my chair every now and again. But for the majority of the PA gigs I do, I have an Allen & Heath QU24 at my disposal. It's not Jack's. It belongs to a bloke that I do most of my gigs with. He has a nice KV2 audio PA and that Allen & Heath desk, and generally a nice PA. It's all higher quality gear than mine, but you know, it is what it is. But for my own stuff, this is what I have to work with. So, rambling aside, let's talk a little bit about this desk. This is the Phonics Summit digital mixer. Now, you can still buy these. I think they are roughly £1,000 brand new. Don't quote me on that, and I know that you can get them for around £400 second hand, maybe even less. Now, I did sell the flight case for this because it was a rack mount variant of the flight case. This is actually a bigger case and I don't like them, so I will be getting the foam lined case specifically designed for this mixer and taking the rack ears off, and I'll hopefully be getting that in red to match my amp rack, because I think red is going to be the colour of my PA stuff, because this is all red as well, and I've got lots of red cabling, so it kind of goes with the theme of things. But anyway, this is pretty much a 16 mono channel digital mixer. The preamp stage is fully analog. It's one of these earlier hybrid desks, a little bit like an 01V. It's pretty much actually just like a wannabe 01V, but newer and better. I'm talking original 01V now, by the way, guys. The preamp stage is fully analog. You've got all the gains here. These gains are not recallable. The analog to digital conversion happens after the gains, of course. The preamps aren't digitally controlled. And from then on in, you're pretty much all digital, apart from a little bit of a headphone section up here, and also a control room section has an analog pot on it that is not savable. And that is it. Everything else is savable and recallable as a scene, just like any digital mixer. So it pretty much works like this. Here we have all of my faders. It is technically incorrect with a digital desk to call them channel faders, because they do so much. For instance, if I go into my multi-layer, you can see here that I actually have a control room output, as well as effect 1 and effect 2 output. So that is pretty much that. If you go into aux group, these are the auxiliary outputs, 7 and 8 at the moment, because they're my effect sends, but I do have 1 and 2 active for monitors, or 3, 4, 5, 6. That's one nice thing about this desk. It's got 8 auxiliary sends, all pre-post selectable. If you want to adjust your channel volume, then of course you're in just channel mode and you can adjust your channel volume. This is front of house. But then if you want to switch to using your, say, aux2 output, you just tap aux2, you put up your monitor mix and you can tap between them, just like any digital desk. So that is pretty much how it works. And of course, along with that, you have, let's take a look, all of the select buttons. So basically to alter a channel, let's talk about my kick drum channel then, you pretty much select it and you can see everything on this nice overview home screen. You can see all of your aux sends and how much you're sending to the aux sends. The reason the last two are blue is because they're post fader, because they're for effects, of course. You can see you have all of your dynamics and stuff up here, so you've got your compressor, EQ, and every little section is fully, you can access it straight away along here. So that's the EQ, they're the effects, and this is a touchscreen, so you can in fact drag the EQ and EQ things with your finger like this, or if you so desire, you can just, you know, actually manually scroll the EQ with all your different things, and it does have presets and stuff, but you guys all know what a digital desk is like. This one, considering its price and age by now, has a few nice features. I really like the meter button. This meter section really does come in handy to me, and when you're sitting at a gig, this is the screen that I like to display. Now I actually display, of course, I've got my iPad running some music, so I can't put it up for long, but if I put up the, I've got linked faders here for the stereo input, if I put those up, it's just playing some old school dance music from Spotify. But yeah, if I put that up, you can see that the main output is like a post fader readout, of course, and this is all pre fader, but you can change it to being post fader. So as I increase the channel fader volume, it shows me my meters there, but I do find it handy to see your preamp, you know, your pre fader gains, which is kind of useful because there is a clip light on the channels, but there is no like blinking LED VU meter section, whatever you call those. But yeah, I'm no desk expert, guys. I just like this one. There are a few quirks with it. It is a little bit sluggish from time to time, but I generally do find it very usable. It's an older generation DigiDesk, so there is no iPad control, nothing like that, but it does have the Firewire and USB expansion card, so you can fully multi-track all of your gigs straight into a DAW, which is so handy. So I can literally track 16 tracks right into Logic Pro just using my laptop, and the preamps are very nice on this desk. So this is the desk I use for live at the moment. A lot of people asked me what desk I was using in my PA system series of videos, and this is the desk that I do use. I've just got to pause the camera, guys, because I am slowly heating up in here. I've got to take off my shirt. By shirt, I meant that shirt. I've obviously still got a t-shirt on. I'm not just going to strip off behind camera. That would be really weird. I do normally have the fan on when I'm working up here, but I don't want the noise to interrupt the video. So yeah, that is the desk. I hope you guys like that tiny, very crappy, quick overview. If anyone is interested in a dedicated video about this desk, then please let me know. I am fairly familiar with it now and I do like it. I do, however, have a couple of gripes with it, and that does include things like startup and shutdown and whatnot, but I will talk about that, well, it's startup more than anything. I will talk about that later on in the video. So yeah, instead of just focusing on the amp rack, I thought I'd chat about my desk, but now it is time to move over to the big boys' toys, and that is the amp rack. So here we have it, guys, just a quick overview yet again. 5U rack, 400mm rack, so one of the shallowest amp racks you will find anywhere. Really nice that you can get away with an amp rack this shallow for these amps. These amps are tiny and lightweight. Of course, Behringer Ironukes Class Ds, affordable Class D amps, very good for their price. We've got a 6,000 on bottom, 3,000 on top. Sounds like a shed load of power, but remember I'm running all 8 ohm speakers, so I'm getting about a K into each bin and about 450, 500 watts into each top, so it's roughly a 3K front of house system, which I'm very happy with. Two 15-inch Sherman Audio bins and two 12-inch tops that I will talk about maybe later, but I don't have them in the video. They're actually not on this premises at all because I can't store them here. Anyway, up the top we have this. This is the DBX 2223XS stereo crossover. And you guys might notice this is a little different from what I had there in the last video. In the last video, I was using, if I step over all this junk, let me take a little look. I was using this puppy. This is a fine example of a quality British-made crossover. This is a Tannoy stereo, no bells, no whistles, mono sub output speaker management system. All analog, built-in power supply, of course. XLR, no funny business going on. 2 ins, 2 outs, and a sub out, and it is gorgeous. As far as I remember, it crosses over at around 100 hertz, and this thing sounds like butter. It really, really makes the system sing. And it is a TX2, Tannoy TX2 for anyone wondering. Tannoy make extremely high-end audio stuff. It does give you a sub-level output, and also you can turn the crossover on and off. And that is pretty much it for control. Now, this is a lovely unit, and I got this just by chance. However, I have swapped to using the DBX in my rack for this moment in time. Now, one thing I really love about the DBX is it gives me another little safety net. Now, I use the KV2 audio rig and the Allen & Heath desk, and that audio rig, all the gigs that I get from that guy are quite, you know, decent, gentle, a lot of Welsh language gigs, a lot of acoustic stuff, a lot of high-end stuff where you're working with proper session musicians that know their onions. If I take my system out, it's probably going to a absolutely awful rough pub down the road or whatever, and it's a load of amateur musicians, and I actually kind of like the magic of working with those kind of gigs, you know, a lot of rock stuff, a lot of metal stuff, sweaty venues. That's where I'll be taking this system. Now, one thing I love about this crossover in general is I can pretty much just set the input gain and the output gain to just a shade underneath 0. -1 or -2 is just an absolute godsend. That means no matter what idiot walks up to the desk and just goes crazy on the desk, even though I've got limiters and stuff on the outputs, that means that I still won't drive quite crazy levels into my amplifiers. And the system is very, very powerful. These amplifiers are a shade, you know, maybe a shade too brutal for the speakers that I'm using. So being able to roll it back on the crossover end of things is really, really handy. But that's not a viable reason. Of course, I could use this crossover and then just be more careful, but it is very handy at these stages at the moment. I am not set on the tops that I'm using, so I have been using quite a few different sets of tops, and I want this on here simply because I can sweep the frequencies. I can sweep you know, all the way up to 240 or whatever. I don't really care about that. All I care about is being able to sweep between sort of 90 and 130, just because different bin top combinations really do make the world of difference with the crossover point. 100 hertz is a nice place to get started, but some systems really benefit from maybe giving the tops an extra 10 hertz, so dropping the bins down to 90, or maybe giving the tops, you know, 10 hertz less and giving the bins 10 hertz more. So basically, the bottom line is, the reason I've got the DBX screwed into the rack at the moment is versatility and flexibility. If I enjoy a 100 hertz crossover point with this unit, and I settle on my top speakers and I get my PA system more permanently, you know, usable with the same cabs every time and everything, then I will happily yank that out and go back to this. Also, it was quite nice just to test my cabling and wiring up. As you guys know, I did pretty much most of the custom wiring for this rack. I did a really nice job in my opinion, and I am running stereo bins at the moment. Stereo bins is a total waste of time, and it can actually cause you more problems than they're worth half the time, because bass is just omnidirectional anyway, and you know, stereo bass, for anyone that isn't watching the video but just listening to my voice, I'm actually doing the little quotation mark bunny ear things with my hand there. You know, stereo bass just is not a thing, so we will just leave that point there. But also, one thing I do really like about this as well that I've just remembered is it does have high pass filter switches on it at 40 hertz, and yes, they are always pressed. Now, I know, DJs, club people out there, oh man, you know, get the 30 hertz rumble, you really feel it or whatever, the 20 hertz rumble. Well, I've got a single pair of 15-inch bins and I push for volume. My bins can go down to 37 hertz, but I shave off that 3 hertz. I have a flat shelf at 40 thanks to this guy. I truly believe that starting at 40 hertz is plenty of rumbling bass. I wouldn't want to go any lower and risk damaging my speakers. I'm on a budget, especially these days. I will not have a chance to replace any blown subs anytime soon. So 40 hertz on there, very, very happy with that. Yes, I could do it on the output on the desk, but I will talk to you actually a little bit more about why processing on the main output of this desk doesn't actually benefit my main sound system that much in terms of limiting and high pass filters in a minute. That's what I'll talk to you about in a minute. But that is the amp rack as it is standing right now, and I've just received a text message, so I'm just going to check it. Okay, so after taking a look at the amp rack and after I read my text message, we will talk a little bit more about the rack as a whole in a second when we talk about the system at the end of the video, but considering we were talking about that processing and whatnot, I'm going to chat to you guys about why the limiters and whatnot don't really make a difference on the output on my desk. Now, this is a 16-channel desk. You can pretty much get away with, on a normal standard rock gig, kick, snare, rack 1, rack 2, floor tom, single overhead, which is what I rock most of the time, bass, electric guitar 1, electric guitar 2, maybe someone brings an acoustic guitar along, maybe a keyboard at a push, vocal, talkback mic at the end over here because there's no talkback section, and that's one free channel, okay? So, as you can see, your channels can fill up really quickly. Now, that is a worst case scenario. Lots of the time you can turn up to a gig and you can do kick, snare, overhead, bass, electric guitar, vocal, okay? You know, some bands can be that small or whatever. But what I'm saying is, 16 channels fill up really quickly. Combining the fact that 16 channels fill up really quickly and there's no other way of getting 2-track in, and 2-track is very, very important for little local gigs and stuff. You'll want playback in between all the bands, you'll want playback at the end, playback at the start, you just need it without a shadow of a doubt. That's where this guy comes in. Now, I am not a fan of hooking 2 mixers up together to get more channels. That's not what I'm talking, but this little Yamaha is my safety net. This is a 4 mono channel, 3 stereo channel, little lifesaver of a mixer that happens to be really, really good quality for the price. Now, this is, again, a no bells, no whistles piece of kit. Now, often, not at every gig, but often what I do is I take my outputs from the DigiDesk and I run them into 2 channels on the Yamaha desk. Not ideal, I know, not ideal at all. And I run the mains out of the Yamaha desk into the amp rack. Why do I do this? Well, there are a couple of reasons. This desk starts up very slowly. It does take about 2.5 to 3 minutes to boot up. So when you arrive at a gig and you're setting up very quickly, sometimes a client will want to maybe playback and a microphone to use straight away. Maybe the band is playing later, but whatever client, whatever type of event it is, they want to be able to chat on the mic and stuff while you're setting up. Okay, cool. So maybe, you know, I'm struggling with my multi-core and setting up my desk and waiting for it to boot up or whatever. At least then, when I have this, I can have my 2-track in here, I can have someone else's 2-track in there, I can have the client's laptop sitting in there for whatever they want to play, and I've got 2 free microphone connections even after I've plugged in my digital desk, or normally digital desk in 3 and 4, because these 2 have little compressors on them for microphones, which are actually really good. One-touch compressors, don't underestimate them, pretty good on this little desk. But I don't like to do that all the time. It is a great safety net because it's a DigiDesk. Yes, it does crash, okay, not all the time, but it can crash. So having a little bit of a fallback mixer where you can at least get a mic and some music up and running is very important to me, very, very important. Put it like this, I don't feel uber safe just running this, and that's a shame because something like the Allen and Heath I run, I feel uber safe because it's an awesome piece of kit. This desk isn't quite ready yet, and they're not releasing software for it anymore, and this is very stable, much more stable than the last software release. I updated it recently because I wasn't even aware that there was an update available, and it's made it a lot snappier, but still, maybe it's just me being paranoid. I haven't had a sort of really bad experience with the desk crashing, but yeah, that's that. So here's my little analog desk, and this is also great for the gigs where you don't need the big desk. Now, this desk is a little limiting, but you do have an aux send, and also the one-touch compressors are handy. There's no inserts or anything like that. There's no auxiliary master section. It is bare basic, but it is nice that you get XLR outputs. Now, of course, if I run this desk through this desk, then I am limited by the Yamaha preamps, but they don't sound too bad at all. They could be a lot worse. And to be perfectly honest, guys, you can't really hear the difference, especially considering I'm not using the most high quality front of house equipment anyway. So that's why putting a limiter on my main mix output on my phonic desk won't make a load of difference to the main front of house system, because someone could easily take this knob, for instance, and push it all the way up. So yeah, I know this is a bit out of focus, guys, but whatever, this is all about audio. So, little handy desk, and I used to have a Behringer Xenix, or whatever you call them, pretty much the same spec. It had 4 mono channels, 2 stereo channels, I believe, and it also had built-in effects. A little bit more versatile. It had inserts, aux send, send returns, blah blah blah. And it had faders, but it was a lot bigger, and I hate Xenix, whatever they are, preamps. I think they sound awful. They're lifeless. There is no soul to them whatsoever. They just sound pretty dry and miserable, limp preamps. And these Yamaha preamps sound a lot better. Plus, it's a lot more portable. It's smaller. Yes, the external power supply is a pain in the ass compared to the Behringer, but the fact that it doesn't have a fader section and stuff, it just has the knobs, makes it a lot more portable. So this is the desk that I take if I'm not doing a band. This is my band desk. This is the desk I take for everything else, because 4 monos and 3 stereos is enough for everything else. And yeah, I stick by this Yamaha desk. It's all good. One thing I am lacking is a front of house rack for like graphic EQs and stuff. Now, I'm trying to train myself not to become dependent on graphic EQs. I use them a lot on the Allen and Heath desk, but I don't use them as much as I used to. I've had a couple of gigs now where I've left pretty much everything flat, and I've just, you know, battled with my my various issues related to not using a graphic in a different way. But this desk does not have graphics. It's not quite there yet in terms of digital desks having all the processing. Yes, you can put compressors and parametrics on every channel, but no graphics. So, I would like a little rack of graphics, and then I could run the output of this through a graphic as well, which would be great. But that is not something that is very achievable yet. But yeah, that's my desk setup, guys, with a little bit of chat about the amp rack in the middle. This video is getting a bit long and probably a bit boring for lots of you, so I just have a couple more points to make. And one of them is about this box. Now, I was initially using this box for speak-on cables, XLR cables, blah blah blah, but I have recently repurposed it into the beginnings of my very own mic box. It is now getting to the time where I am owning enough microphones to give myself a mic box, which is great. So I've only made a very early start. As you can see, my condenser is taking up a lot of space there, but we've got my kick mic under its own little foam there. Under there, just saying hello. Here's a DI box. This is an Art passive DI box. I do have 2 of these, and I also have one of the active versions, but I'm looking to get rid of the active one. I'm not too keen on it compared to the passive ones. You can hear an audible hiss. Plus, I don't like really using stuff that requires phantom power with this desk, because the way this desk manages phantom power is really iffy with the little switches. There's kind of group channel switches, so you get these 4 channels use phantom, either these 4, these 4. It does it in 4 groups of 4, I believe, or 3 groups of something, I'm not too sure, but yeah. Here we have a 57 and a couple of vocal mics and stuff. Nothing too crazy, but this will soon be my mic box for live, and it's got this nice pouch up here, and this is where I'll be keeping all of my guitar mics and tom mics. So as soon as I get my mic collection together, they'll all be going in there, and I do have keys for this case. So instead of just carrying microphones around in carrier bags, I now have a case. So that is one quick thing I did want to showcase in this video also. But what I'm going to do now is just turn around the rack and show you guys the back of the rack one more time. So flipping this rack around, you can see, I don't know if you can see it in the reflection of the window there, we've got a bit of a sticky residue that I need to clean off. I left my rack in a club, and it basically got like ice cream or something on it, or toffee, I can't really tell what it is, but it's all stuck on there and got all sticky and moldy, so that's quite disgusting. But you know, perks of leaving your equipment places. That's what I like about this system, you know, it's not worth £1 million or anything, so I kind of just throw it around and just, yeah, it's great. Anyway, here is the back. As you guys know, I wanted to go PowerCon. Here I have my PowerCon cable. I have not yet got around to making a 16 amp to PowerCon cable because I have not yet changed the 13 amp internal. This is all running 13 amp. It will soon be 16 amp, I promise. So PowerCon in, like that, and that one power con connector from a standard 13 amp plug. Powers, as long as you power things up in stages, powers this rig sitting at, you know, 0 dB with white noise going absolutely bonkers through every speaker, powers it absolutely fine. So here we have the 3 plugs, NU6000, NU3000 and the crossover, 3 spare, not normally used, should really blank them off because I don't want anything else to be powered from here, but it could be handy, you know, if I had a very small monitor amp or whatever, I could put it on there, I guess, without too much worry. Of course, guys, we have inputs and outputs. This is a true split, so this outputs the signal how I want it. So this system is perfect for integration into bigger systems, or for if I wanted to hire stuff in and add it to this system, like another pair of tops and an amp, or another pair of subs and an amp, which would be more realistic, I can just jack them right into the outputs and we're good to go. Of course, 4 speak-on outputs. I could have gone with an 8-pole speak-on and had a nice speak-on loom, but this works great for me. So, yeah, you've all seen the back of the rack before anyway. 2 vent panels, very, very pleased with my wiring in there. It's just a great setup in my opinion. So it's very handy coming up here to my studio. I often set up my live sound gear in here, whatever mixer I'm using at the time, just so that I get familiar with it, and I do play around with stuff. You know, I always input a DI and a mic and stuff, and make sure I'm familiar with the mixer before going to the event. And especially with this desk, I make all of my presets before I get there, because certain operations are just so sluggish. So I've kind of got a rough pre-EQ. Of course, every room is different, but I've got a rough pre-EQ and compressor set up for pretty much every channel. I think I've actually loaded the wrong preset here, but there's at least an EQ on everything. High pass filter at the very least. So it kind of gets me up and running nice and quickly. Pre and post is all sorted. It's nice just chilling up here, going over some of the gear, testing a few things out. Of course, the amps are only up here because I was fiddling with the crossover and just checking a couple of things. I will never ever be lugging these amps up the stairs again. Even though this is a very lightweight amp rack, my stairs are crazy, so I don't need the amps up here at all. It was just a luxury having them up here. If I ever need to work on them again, I'm quite satisfied with working on them in my bedroom and bringing whatever else I need down. It's a lot easier. So this has been a little update to my PA system, guys. I know I don't have anything new and nothing that much exciting to talk to you about, and it's a little bit sad that I make these PA system videos without actually having the speakers in frame. But considering my current situation where I don't actually have a place to store all of my gear, I'm storing my subs and tops at my girlfriend's house. And one little bit of news actually that I forgot to tell you is I'm in talks at the moment with, I believe it's hotcovers.com, to make covers for my tops. And I'm in talks with Ken from Sherman Audio at the moment to get some covers made for my bins. So that would be really great. It'll protect them a little bit more. And yeah, big plans in the future. Just really quick rundown then. Possibly getting my hands on another 5U Castle case, 2 NU3000s, one for just a spare amp and one for a monitor amp, or all for monitors or whatever. I would love to have the flexibility of another 2 amplifiers, and that 1 new spare just for something spare in the future. I kind of think if you're buying an amp rack, if you get it 5U instead of 4U, then that gives you an extra unit to play with if you so desire. Of course, my microphone collection needs a bit of attention, but I can use some of my studio mics, aimlessly pointing in that direction because I believe they're behind the turntable. I can use some of my studio mics in here, of course. Other plans, I need new tops, and I want to use my current tops as monitors. But yeah, that's all a work in progress, guys. I hope you guys like this. Maybe one day in the future, in the next few months, I'll do a video more specifically about my cables and microphones and stuff like that, if anyone's interested in seeing that. But for now, this is my PA system update. Hope you guys like it. Ooh, and if you're local, if you live anywhere near me, basically I serve anywhere around Ammanford town in South Wales in the UK. If you need a PA system, I'm available at extremely reasonable rates. All you have to do is pick me and my gear up, and I will come and be a sound engineer and bring along a reasonably high quality PA to get the job done, and I'll hopefully assist you in making your event sort of rumble and shake and vibe and all that good stuff that a gig should do. So anyway, rambling aside now, guys, cheers for watching this vid. I'll catch you in the next one.